So it's 5 hours later. The dough has risen to double. You can see it's nice and bubbly. It's got that webby kind of consistency to it, and it's doubled in size. I'm going to see if I can show the edge of the bowl so you can see how much it's risen and all of those nice bubbles in there. So that's what you want when it's doubled in size. Now I'm going to just knock it down, and so that's just giving it a stir to take out the big bubbles. And you don't always have to let it rise the next rise, but I find that it makes a lighter, fluffier bread if I let it rise the next rise. So in order to do that, I'm going to put it in. This is a Pyrex baking dish. I find that it can be baked just on a flat pan and it'll mound a little bit. And I find if I use a container, this could have been a loaf pan, a Pyrex loaf pan. If I use a container that's about the same diameter, if you can see that, as the bowl that I'm mixing it in, the dough rises a little bit higher and I get a higher loaf of bread. So I'm just going to pour that in, and you see how it's like very sticky. Remember, this is no knead bread, so we don't have to do anything about kneading it. I didn't grease my dish, and I don't grease it, and I find that sometimes I might have to run a knife around the edge before getting it out, and just in case it sticks, you can grease it if you want to use butter or spray or something to grease it. But if you notice, the dough is filling just about halfway in the container I have it in, the Pyrex dish. So I'm going to try to show you how that's there. And now I'm going to set this aside and let it double. And I just put the same top right on top. Now this top doesn't fit this container, it fits the other one. It's bigger than this. However, it's just to keep the air from letting it dry out. And if I didn't have that, I could have put it in a plastic bag and just something to keep the air from getting to it, so that it's there. So I'm going to use the little plastic, and then what I do is it's going to stay for about an hour, and I'll turn the oven on to 450 degrees because that's what it's going to bake at, and let it preheat. So I happen to be getting ready to make my dinner, so I'm going to preheat the oven to 350, make my dinner, and while I'm making my dinner, I'm going to set this whole container on top of the stove so that it's not in the stove, but it's getting some of that heat, and that'll help it rise quicker. And I'm looking for it to double and in size. So I'll see you in a few.